My name is Francie Pangolin. I'm a solution engineering manager from Oracle. I worked for one of the telcos in Kenya, and one of the challenges that we used to face, in the middle of the night, you would be called sometimes and told that a certain system is down. And I can tell you 50% of those times we would find is something we used to call table space. Something has, the storage is not enough. This used to keep repeated, and as much as we would track, because we were so busy, there used to be a lot of things to do, there would be that one system that you would miss to know that you need to extend the storage. And that's the reason why the autonomous concept came in, and I think that's the reason why Oracle came up with that aspect of autonomous. So what autonomous database does is that it automates most of the tasks that the DBA does based on machine learning. It reduces the number of errors that you would find. It introduces capabilities to auto-tune the database by itself. So the DBA doesn't have to do a lot of work around tuning. So some of the attributes that you will hear run out about autonomous database is that it's able to auto-backup itself, it's able to auto-recover itself, it's able to troubleshoot. It can now also automatically upgrade the database. So for instance, every now and then, due to the many new patches that will be released, you don't have to keep upgrading, running patches, applying patches, introducing downtimes during the day, maybe to apply a patch, or at night. The database will be able to do it that way. The database can auto-scale itself, thereby reducing the amount of downtime that you would face when you are doing it manually as a DBA. So when it comes to risks, security risks, it also patches itself. So for instance, if there is a new flow that has been identified, it automatically applies a patch to fix that flow. It leverages on one of the best innovations from Oracle called the Oracle Exadata, an engineered system that's a database machine, a server that is specifically prepared and engineered to run the Oracle database. So autonomous database leverages on that, so it can easily be updated with no downtimes. And data is also encrypted. We've said security is a key concern. So data as it sits in the database, it's encrypted. And also we've talked about self-preparing. So that means it eliminates human error and gives some guarantees on SLAs. This is roughly less than 2.5 minutes per month. Those are the guarantees that you get from Oracle. 99.995 availability of the database, which means your systems will be up for the better part of a month. So in terms of customer experience, this will be improved. In terms of as a customer, you may ask, I'm not in IT, I'm in finance. How does that concern me? How does that help me? How is the autonomous database affecting me? So one is it reduces your costs. So as a CFO, it reduces the administration costs. You don't have to have people administering databases, tuning databases. So it also reduces runtime costs of up to 70%. So like for instance, you will find in many cases, let's say for instance you have a system that you're deploying, and that system probably you're starting let's say with 100 or 1,000 customers. But you expect this system to maybe in 2 years have 20 million or 1 million customers. You will find in some cases you will need to buy a piece of hardware that will take care of the 100,000 customers, even if you're starting with 100,000. With cloud and with autonomous, you can start with only hardware or compute resources that will cater, let's say, for 5,000 users that you probably foresee in the first year. And as you grow, you scale it up without any downtime. So in terms of a customer also, we have reductions in risks, reduction in human errors, and then high throughput across this. So the Oracle database, autonomous database, is offered in two flavors. One flavor it's about data warehouse, what we call the Oracle Data Warehouse Cloud, ADW in short. And the other one is Oracle OLTP database. This is for large transaction processing. The other one is for data warehouse related operations. So if you're microfinance, you're a bank, and you want to deploy a data warehouse, there is a solution specifically for that. The other one is if you have huge transaction processing. Like for instance, if you have, let's say for instance, you have a system where you have a huge number of transactions where customers are running on it. Everybody's sending transaction every now and then, OLTP based solution. Then the autonomous OLTP database is meant for that. You may have noticed, and many businesses these days, analytics, data is the key thing. If you want to understand how you're doing, you need data. You need to come up with new products, you need data. You need to crunch a lot of data. There's a lot of data out there. Some of it structured, some of it unstructured. You need to analyze this. These days, the comments of your customers on Twitter or on Facebook is a big concern to your business. You will see people commenting about insurance companies, how they have not done they have not maybe honored their promises, and it becomes a big issue. You will see telcos if they've not responded to a customer, or you will see the power company, and so on and so on. It's a big deal. The differences between autonomous database cloud, one of them is self-tunes. Database is optimized because it runs on Exadata. And Exadata is a machine or a hardware system that's specifically developed for running Oracle database. So it means it makes it easier. Maximum availability, so downtimes are reduced, so you can't be able to configure your environment in a maximum availability architecture to ensure 24/7 availability of your system. I'll talk about two things: data security and access and identity management. What's the difference between the two? So you have your data that's sitting inside the database. If somebody accesses this data, let's say it's financial data, they can use it against you. So when data is at rest, is it secure? How is it? Is it encrypted? If somebody has access to it, what can they do to it? What can they use it against you? If you're moving data from, like for instance, when you're copying data and you're giving it to your partners or your vendors to implement a system. Let's say, for instance, when a vendor comes to your environment and they tell you, we need you to give us test data, but that test data has personal and secret information. So when you're giving it to them, how do you make sure that it's secure? That's where we have options like data masking, labeled security, and so on that can be able to help you on that. The other thing is that people may access data, and I have seen this somewhere where people would time at the end of the month and change their salary, their base salary, and then after a few days change the value back. I have seen it myself somewhere back. And you ask yourself, can you be able to track who actually did that? You will hear even in the media that somebody went and deleted or used someone's password in a certain transaction, and the person says, I don't know how they got my password, and so on. So we have solutions for that, audit and monitoring. Or you will hear somebody hacked in and stole the password or stole some information from a database. So, and they hacked using a certain IP. How can you be able to block certain IPs from accessing your database? And those IPs could be internal, because sometimes when people say that since I have put a firewall, I've put a network firewall, I have blocked IPs from outside, so people cannot come and steal my data. But somehow the risks could be internal. It could be somebody who is internal, who is accessing that information and siphoning it out. Or a malware that comes and installs itself in one of the internal laptops and starts collecting data from a certain server. Similar to the network firewall, we'll have a database firewall that even checks on the SQL commands that are being run into your database. So for instance, you could say, all updates to a certain database should only come from a certain IP or from a certain set of IPs. So if someone tries to write an update or to send an update into your database, you block it at the software level, at the data level. So if an update is coming and you see it's from a different IP, you flag it and notify the DBAs or whoever in risk and block it. But if someone tries to access the database from the backend, let's say for instance if it's a Unix OS, if they try to log into the Unix OS and try to read the data from there, it's encrypted to them. They cannot see that data. They cannot read that data. Data security is very, very important. It could happen to you. Someone can take you hostage. Somebody can steal data. So there are many ways of securing your data. There's also what we call segregation of duties. You don't want somebody from finance accessing the database and doing something. This is the typical scenario in your business. You have a new employee who joins your organization. They are onboarded onto by HR. Down here, these are the systems that needs to be accessed. They need to access these systems here. Let's say, for instance, someone has joined your organization. They work in finance, so they have a finance system. Let's say it's a bank. They have access to T24, to MySys, to FlexCube, and so on. This is the system that they need to access. Then you will find in the same environment, you are using Exchange and you're using Active Directory. A bigger percentage will be using this. In some cases, this will be Google and so on. But let's use this scenario of Microsoft because this is what you find in many organizations. So as a user, when I join the organization, you will find that there will be those systems that I need to work. These days, when you go into an organization, for you to work, they need to give you access to a system, not just a desk. In fact, sometimes it's not even a desk. The priority is a laptop and access to a system for you to work. Otherwise, if you don't have a system, you'll just be checking on people, what other people are doing and wondering. You see, hey, these guys look busy. These guys, you know that feeling of a first day, yeah? Yeah, so that experience can be improved, yeah. So the HR guys will give you access, and then your manager, they will come and set you up in a HR system, isn't it? They will say so-and-so is now an employee from this date. So normally what happens is that they will then also give you a document and tell you, you will need access to these systems. Take this to the risk guys, take this to your manager, take this to HR, and then take it to IT. Is it a good experience? Now, with that Oracle Identity Manager, it automatically creates your identity, it creates an identity. Your first thing is that you created in the HR system. Then automatically, you're given those rights that you need membership for in a certain system. And then, if you require, then if they then decide you need the role of a payables manager, HR manager, payroll user, and so on. Those are the things you will find in any organization. It gives you access to all that. Creates you in AD, creates you in Exchange, it creates you in all other systems that you require. In case you change department, that has to be reflected here. They come and change your HR designation here. You are no longer now in IT, you now move to finance. This system automatically reconciles and removes all the rights that relate to IT and assigns you the right for finance, but with approval. Thereby, you automate the entire user onboarding and user access management. So if I need rights to do ABCD, I'm given those rights using the capability that we mentioned, access management. Directory, storage of those directories, and creation of identities. Those are the three things I was explaining here. So identity governance, checking that I am created whenever I join an organization. If I change departments, that's what we call life cycle. If I leave the organization, I'm deactivated. Access governance, every now and then, check. Then every now and then, a list of people who have access to your system is sent to your manager to ask them, are these people supposed to have these rights? That's what we call revalidating or attestation, checking whether do these people really need to have access to this system. This is sent every 3 months or every 4 months. This comes a lot in audits where people say this person had these rights, yet they were not supposed to have. So as a manager, it's proactively sent to you. You check, you confirm in the system, yes, they need to have these rights. If you say, no, they shouldn't have, then you remove. Then it's removed automatically. That's what you call about, that's what we say, identity lifecycle management, and also auditing. What are these people doing with the rights that they have? We also have an important also aspect of that, what we call privileged access management. The same concept of where you see out there, I think in the US, you hear of people saying documents were stolen, but they do not know how that person stole that data, like the case of Snowden. So admins are very powerful. And the passwords that they have are also shared. Like for instance, if it's a Unix environment, if it is root, there's only one root user and one root password. So if there are 5 admins who are administering that server, they all have the same password and the same username. So you will never know who actually did what. Is it A, is it B, is it Francis, or is it who? So there is something called privileged access management. So to be able to regulate that, there's a way that you can use some of these tools that we are mentioning here. What you do is that every time someone needs to access that server, they log into a system and request for a one-time password that is associated with them. They log in with their username, but they're given root rights, root username, and a password that is timed, and you can record what they are doing. Thereby, you can track what your privileged users are doing. And you can even tell that privileged user A did this, privileged user B did this. You can also time that and also say that you can only use this password between 5 a.m. and 6 a.m. That's privileged access management. And then access management, things like multi-factor authentication. I think we are now used to this. Every time you log into your online banking, it has to send you a PIN or a notification which you key in. You also have, these days, we have a lot of apps that we use to log in. In the past, we had the tokens, like a thing that you use to punch your password and it gives you a number which you punch in. But these days, they are mobile apps, and I know Eclectics may be doing that in their internet banking solution. So that's what we call multi-factor authentication. Single sign-on capabilities. I don't want to keep track of 10 usernames to log into 10 systems or 20 systems. I want one username, probably the password, with one password that authenticates me every time I log into a different system. So that makes your work easy. Password resets and so on. You don't need to clog your help desk with those questions. With questions about, I've forgotten my password, I can't remember my username. You visit some organizations, some people use the system only when they want to check their payslip. Isn't it? So that's the only time they access a certain system. So at the end of the month, if you check the people at the help desk, they are struggling with password resets. Allow them to do it themselves. So using access management, and then directory services. This is the equivalent of Active Directory, installing of identities and identification information of these users.